Welcome on back to the Rabbit Hole, probably the last one of the year. So if you're watching, if you've been watching all season, we want to say thank you. We're missing one of our co-hosts. He's out doing something. Don't know what. He's MIA. Ever since Jim Knowles left Oklahoma State for Ohio State, he's been MIA. He thought he killed OU. He did not. He might have killed his own program. We don't know. But thank you all for watching, listening, whatever it is, whatever platform you're following us on. It really does mean a lot that this year has been the most consistent season we've done. Preston and I have done a couple shows together through school. Jake and I had did a couple shows on our own. And this one, we finally just consolidated it all. We're not in school. We're doing it over Zoom. It's pretty fun. It's been an awesome year, awesome season. Honestly, one of the most chaotic seasons, if you will. People, I know Preston, probably third week, maybe fourth week. It was one of those things where we were like, is this kind of like a 2007 year or something, 2008? Where just so much
it was
week after week after week, right?
Yeah, no, it was definitely like a very chaotic year in the sense of even going into last night with the Heisman stuff, you really didn't know who was going to win. I think obviously Bryce Young sealed the deal in the SEC championship game, but it was one of those things it came down to it in the playoffs the previous couple of years we knew exactly kind of what was going to happen. And this year, anything could have happened, and things fell the way that they did, and the teams that made it in. So
yeah, and we're finally seeing a group of 5 team in. UCF died, so Cincinnati could run pretty much.
Yeah.
But honestly, thank you everyone for watching and listening. It's been a great season. I'd be remiss not to call out someone that yesterday in the morning took an unsolicited shot at me. If you're watching Chelsea, you fucking know what I'm talking about. To say go Army, beat Navy before the game even starts. Oh, whew. And then Navy comes and wins that game. That honestly, that capped off a great college football season. I love it. It's America's game, Army Navy every year. It's the only game on that Saturday, whatever Saturday it's being played on. It's always one of the greatest traditions I feel like in college football. And it's always nice when Navy gets the dub and they sing second. It was actually a pretty cool game. Not a lot. It was obviously very military school like in terms of low scoring. You always bet the under on that one. I know life's too short.
I think the under's hit 15 years in a row in that game now. So
that's insane. But it's basically a lock. You just take the under. So shout out Navy and Chelsea.
I was surprised. Navy was running some shotgun formations and stuff like that. And I was like, I've never seen this before in my life.
Yeah, and Army was even passing quite a bit. Passing quite a bit. But Navy had a couple quarterback injuries right at the beginning. That dude stepped on the toe or stepped on his lineman's foot and it fucked his leg up somehow. I don't know exactly medically speaking. But shout out Navy. What a great game. I think I didn't bet on them all year, if not maybe only once. But hey, it is what it is. The coaching carousel, that's what we really need to talk about because we haven't done a show since Brett Venables been hired. And
we haven't.
That's like the big news that, as quickly as Lincoln Riley killed OU, he actually might have pumped some juice in you guys because that you guys might be improved. You guys might be an improved program.
Well, and the thing is, Lincoln leaving hurt recruiting a bit, but not as many recruits jumped ship as you would think. In the 22 class, I think they lost maybe 3, maybe 4, if that. The big hit was in the 23 class, but that can be recuperated in a year's time. The main issue was the 22 class. You kept most of those guys, and you keep most of the offensive staff, if not all of the offensive staff. Sans Dennis Simmons, who bolts for Cali with Lincoln, and you bring in one of the better offensive coordinators in the country in Jeff Levy. So it hurt, but the bleeding was stopped once Venables finally got hired.
And it seemed like the recruits that did jump ship were if someone told you 6 weeks ago, hey, Lincoln Riley's leaving for USC, tell us the guys you think that are the recruits that are gonna decommit from OU and go there. You could almost probably pick them out because it's like, all right, that guy's from
and it was
Southern California.
It was like
that guy's from Southern California. It's
exactly
the
it was
guys. That
it was all
get.
the SoCal guys that would rather just stay at home and play for Lincoln Riley than come out to Oklahoma, and I totally get that. Like if I had to pick, living in Southern California. My whole life, and then the head coach I want to play for goes to Southern California, I'm probably going to stay in Southern California. So
100%. And honestly, I talked to Jake about this off the air a couple times now, and I'm pretty sure, if not this year, last year, I called it saying whoever the head coach is. I think I jokingly said Nick Saban. That might have been Texas though. Whoever can bring back USC with the NIL stuff, it's huge. Like it's a recruit breeding ground where you have so many talented kids in that area that just, if USC could just be slightly good like they used to be, it's not what they used to be, just slightly like they used to be. Kids want to play for USC. None of those kids want to go to Texas or, well, maybe Bama because of Saban. But if you can get a coach in there that those kids want to play for and believe in, they want to go to USC. Like USC is a name school. It's a brand name. They're not leaving because USC isn't attractive. It's because they don't have a good coach. They haven't had a good program in a while. And now it seems like
they haven't been they haven't been good since the Pete Carroll days, Reggie Bush, Matt Leinart, all that.
100%.
So, now you get in a coach that can coach offensively. Obviously, kind of blessed that he took kind of the whole defensive staff with him, because that things just weren't working out with that defense in Norman, unfortunately. But bring in one of the best defensive coordinators as head coach. Now his defensive coordinator that he hired, Ted Roof or whatever the hell his name is, not too happy about that one.
Yeah, so I saw people getting up in arms about that on the Twitter sphere. And people were not very happy about that pick. Is it because he's not a big name? It's because he's not. What is it?
Not the big name. And if you look at his defenses, like historically with him in the past, he's really only had, a top 20 defense, maybe. He's more in the range of like 30 to 50 in defense. He did coach the defense for Auburn when they won the national championship with Cam Newton that year. But they had Cam Newton, to win that. So it's not like the defense was, this focal point of that team.
Yeah. And do you think, and this is something I saw on Twitter as well, like someone threw this idea out there as to why that was his choice for defensive coordinator, is because it's a solid coordinator that you can rely on, but also that will run your scheme, Brent Venables' scheme.
Well, and I've also heard
he's just a Muppet,
Yeah, and that's essentially what it's going to be. It's going to be Venables' defense, but also with him is he has a lot of ends in the Southeast with high schools and stuff, and so you're seeing OU. They were recruiting California hard and the West Coast hard for guys. Now they're flipping to they're going to start recruiting the Southeast. It looks like, because I think the first couple of days that Venables was head coach, all of his offers came out of Florida and places like that down there. So I think OU's going to start hitting those places hard.
And you almost have to. You have to transition that way because of the transition that OU is taking as a program in the next couple of years going into the SEC. You want to get those guys that are talented from anywhere in the country, especially out in California. You'd love to bring them in because you want the best players on your team. Doesn't matter where they're from. But if you look at it, if USC and Oregon, because Oregon's about to do something with their head coach, I think Dan Lanning actually just got hired up there. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Was that verified?
Yeah, I saw that last night. It did get verified because there were reports that, Dan Lanning, the defensive coordinator at Georgia, there were reports earlier, I believe Friday, that he had gotten hired, and everyone walked that back. And then last night it came out official, those reports were right. So
yeah, I saw the coaching carousel has been a shit show this year, this season for the media in terms journalists and breaking the news. And 1 minute you see X coach has been verified as X team's head coach. And then 30 minutes later, it's oh, just kidding. That's not true. And then an hour later,
that happened.
it actually is true.
That happened to Lanning twice because he was reported by one Sooner website saying that he was going to be the OU head coach. And then, 10 minutes later, everyone's like, no, that was a mistake. That's wrong,
Well,
And now
Go ahead.
And I say now, like the same thing happened at Oregon, but it ended up being, actually true. So,
yeah. Well, you know what, Coach, I kind of feel bad for, but then again, I did a little bit of digging and I don't feel bad for him, is Manny Diaz. I mean, down in Miami, they kind of screwed him.
Yeah.
But from what I understand, he kind of did the whole like leaving without talking to the players in a respectful way the last time when he went from whatever team to Miami.
I think
so
it was
that's Tulane
Temple,
or something,
I believe.
Temple or something like that, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, so I guess some of the players were like, that's what you get, pretty much. Like it all comes around.
And here's the thing: Miami wanted him to quit, and if he quits, he doesn't get his buyout and his contract. And so, 100%. If I was Manny Diaz, I would have done the same thing: stay there until they fire you, collect the check. Yeah. And Miami, let's just say, put it out there: Miami royally fucked that up entirely. They hired Cristobal from Oregon before they even fired Manny Diaz.
Yeah, so they were going to make him defensive coordinator.
Yeah,
like how you can't fire the guy at your school and keep him in your, like, he's not going to stay there. He's just going to leave. If you fire him from the position, he's going to leave. But
I'm touching he ended up at Penn State as well. So
Diaz that's right. I saw that. State. That's impressive. I mean, Ohio State picked up Jim Knowles, Oklahoma State. Shout out. They're just the stepping stone program now. I don't want to be mean, but they are a stepping stone program. And I like the Oklahoma State Cowboys. I think they're kind of cool to watch sometimes, but they are a stepping stone. So thank you for curating Jim Knowles and letting him fucking come up and get some real work done and go to the playoffs, maybe, hopefully. But I do want to touch on that story. So I did see that, and I get it. And Preston and I, we kind of did the whole journalism school-esque thing. It wasn't strictly journalism, but a large part of the media broadcast degree at UCO is journalism. And, so I kind of get the whole idea that that site had multiple stories ready to go for certain head coaches that were potential or in the talkings, just because you don't want to be, you'd like to be first, but if you can't be first, you don't want to be the last one. You don't want to be a week late on putting that article out. And so I kind of get having it out or having it ready, and then accidentally someone hit submit on it or, publish or whatever. So I think that.
If you're talking about the Dan Lanning OU incident, I think that they were just trying to put out that he is a candidate for the head coaching job, had an interview, blah, blah, blah. Because it sounds like things were as far enough along with Lanning that they were talking about potential staff with him at OU.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And then it comes out, they went with Venables, which I think was probably the right hire, in the end. Yeah. But it sounds like things got that far along to where that's kind of how that tweet and article might have got sent out. So
yeah, and Jake, since Jake isn't here, we're gonna talk about it because I don't have him to sit there and be like, don't let them do the voodoo on you. Don't let them do the voodoo on you. But I will say this: as much of a Sooner hater as I've been the last couple of years, and calling for Lincoln Riley to get to be fired potentially, not calling for him, just saying hey, he's not that great of a coach. He's just kind of average, and he inherited a team. I will say Brent Venables is the type of coach that if I were a Sooner fan, I would be ecstatic to have at my program. Yeah. And
I think you see that with all that stuff, getting off the plane, his press conference, pep rally thing the next day. OU fans are kind of pumped up about this.
100%. And whatever the history says happened, whether they ran him out of town or not, I don't know. Whatever. It was 10 years ago. It obviously wasn't harsh enough that it severed. It didn't burn the bridge. It might have, it might have poured gasoline on the bridge, but it's been 10 years. The gasoline's dried up. There was no one lit the match and burnt the bridge down because he's back.
Yeah.
But honestly, if you're Lincoln Riley, you have to be if you love college football, if Lincoln Riley loves college football, which he probably doesn't as much as he loves money.
Yeah.
If he loves college football, he stays at OU he's furious he didn't stay at OU because that was a football fan base. That was a college football fan base. That was a community. And USC did not have that. He stepped off the plane and like, that was it. Like there's no one there.
Yeah.
Even as a press conference, like it was kind of corny. And then they did some,
and
like,
that's what you get in Los Angeles. I mean, let's be honest. That's the kind of treatment you get in Los Angeles. There's 100%. So much stuff to do in Los Angeles. No one cares about, going to do that. Here in Norman, like that, it sounds cheesy, but that's like people's lives is OU football in Norman. Like they care about it like a million times more than anyone in LA cares about college football.
It's for it's a religion. Football, college football is a religion down here in parts of Oklahoma, Texas, Louisiana, Alabama.
Really, like just the South. Like if you consider like this the South, which I kind of do because we give off more like South vibes and Midwest vibes here in Oklahoma. 100%. So I would say like from here, Arkansas all the way Tennessee, Kentucky, all the way over to like the Carolinas to the coast, like that and down. That's like where football is a religion. Like you're playing on a Saturday, like you plan your day around like the football game and what you're going to do.
Yeah, it's the fall. In the South, the fall consists of two things on the weekends: college football Saturdays and hunting. That's it.
Yeah.
Like you might have some folks that go to church Sunday mornings or afternoons, but like you definitely watching football. Like you're not missing it. It's just not happening. And so I really do as an unbiased sports fan, whatever you want to call us doing this is commentator, whatever. If I was an OU fan, I'd be stoked to have Brett Venables. I loved his energy. I think he's going to not like turn the program around because you guys are in a good spot. I think more it's going to like, instead of going straight ahead like this and just staying in one lane, I think it's really going to open it up and the defense is going to come back to the OU, which you're going to need going into the SEC. But I also think he nailed it on the OC hire. He's got one of the best offensive coordinators in the nation from Ole Miss, Jim Lebby.
Yeah.
Jeff Lebby. And so, I mean, he hit it. The offense isn't really going to miss a beat. Obviously, you got to retain Caleb Williams, but I think like going forward a couple years down the line, like obviously they got to get their players in, keep the players they want, get their players in that they want over the next couple of years. I think the program's fit for. I mean, I'm not going to say you guys are going to win the SEC every year, but like you guys are going to go in there at least, I think, probably in a better spot than you would have with Lincoln. And I always said,
100%.
With Lincoln, you guys were going to go in and compete.
Yeah.
I said that.
Well, and a big part of that as well is, the strength coach hire and all that. Benny Wiley, who was the strength coach at OU, has gotten the reputation for OU being soft because he didn't prepare them, the way they wanted. And you could tell OU was soft by watching the games.
100%.
And you bring in Smitty, who was here previously at OU and was moved on to A&M and had done great things at A&M. I mean, A&M's a tough team. You bring him in, and I think, A, he's either going to do a great job, or B, he's going to run off the guys that are, want to be soft, and they're not going to be here, and you're going to have a tough, team. Now, from all accounts, not going to like the summer workouts or all the workouts because it seems like those are some of like the tougher workouts you're ever going to have to do. But I mean, that makes the team tough.
100%. Like you got to, like those 2 days, those tough practices in the summer in July and August or whenever it is, like that's where your championship run comes from. Like you don't get deep into the season 12-0, 11-1, 10-2. You don't do, and I'm saying a good 10-2, like not just losing this. Yeah. Like you don't have a deep run without great summer off seasons and off season training. Like you just don't. So
I would say by all accounts, it sounds like OU's going to start opening up the checkbook more, and they're going to hire more staff members as well. Kind of like in Alabama with their analysts. I think that's something that you might be seeing from OU in coming years, having like a bigger support staff as well.
I mean, yeah, it makes sense. You're going into the SEC. You got to do something. Obviously, they didn't plan on having a head coach change, but what they did to replace it, I always said I thought Lincoln Riley would do good with OU in the SEC for the first couple of years because that offense was different and new. Not new, but it's just different. But I think with Brett Venables, you'll have a great offense with Jeff Lebby, as long as he sticks around. If he has a great 2 seasons and then he gets an offer somewhere else.
I think that's the expectation is 2 years max with him.
Yeah, but like if he can at least help maintain the transition, because obviously Brett Venables defensive coach, but you need a good offensive coordinator to go with it. And so obviously he comes in, Brett Venables restructures the program the way he wants it with the support of the offense continuing success, and then get the guy that you want to come in and play offensive coordinator for the next 5 years with Brett Venables. So, I think going into the SEC, you guys are set up for really, really good success potentially. And Brian Kelly, I don't know if we touched on it last time, but Brian Kelly is going to Notre Dame or left Notre Dame for LSU.
Did you see the accent he developed in 24 hours of Baton Rouge?
It was real great to get an accent from down there. That was wild. I mean, I don't know if you're a recruit. Are you like, this guy's funny and he wins, so like I kind of like it, or you're like,
but by all accounts, everyone says he's a douchebag. So it's like, yeah. I mean, everything that I've heard about is just he's a douchebag.
Yeah, he is. Shout out to the guy that got his job though, Marcus Freeman. That's pretty cool to see. I don't know if you saw the where they were in the locker room. The strength and conditioning coach was like, being like, here's your new coach, guys. And then he comes in and they're all hyped up for him.
Yeah, I didn't see that, but I heard about it and I thought that was pretty cool as well. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a really cool video. And I notable. I mean, if you've watched this show for any or listened to me talk over the last couple of years for any stretch of the time, you know that there's like 3 teams that I don't really care for: Tennessee, USC, and Notre Dame. And that's like the 3 teams that I just do not care for. And so aside from my Notre Dame hate, I did think that it was a cool video to watch. I don't know if I'm having connection issues. I might be. But it was a really cool video to watch. Other than that, dude, and everyone watching and listening, I don't know if there's not much more for us to talk about because it's been pretty quiet. We got some bowl games coming up. Obviously, it's bowl season. I'm interested to watch the Barstool Bowl. I think that's going to be very telling of how the future is going to look, because that's like setting up for how the future of streaming and bowl games and sports broadcast is going to be done. Because if they have success, it changes everything. It really does.
Yeah, and I think unfortunately, I have to work like the next day. But my buddy lives in Tucson. I was thinking about going out and staying with him and actually going to the game. But
that would have been cool. Yeah, I'll be in New York. I'll be in New York, so I'm going to try to watch a little bit of it just to like get an idea of what they're doing. Yeah. If not, I'm sure they'll have a bunch of highlight clips afterwards on the stool scenes. But I'm really excited about that bowl, obviously. Oh, and also, I was going to put a must win on the Rose Bowl for Ohio State, but after Ryan Day, hear me out. I was going to put the must win on it because Ryan Day is heading into, where it's now his team. Like, these are now his, like, he's been there for a few years now as the head coach. These are his guys. Like, you gotta not only make the playoffs, you gotta do something. You gotta win the national championship. And so I was going to put a must win. Like, hey, if you don't win it, if because the way this year has to end is on a high note, you have to win on a high note. And then next year it's like, all right, a winner, like win or go home season. But with that hiring of Jim Knowles, I think that it's him addressing an issue that they're having and potentially finding the solution for it. Obviously, you can't call it a solution yet because it hasn't happened, but he's got 2 years. I say he's got like 2 years with Jim Knowles, maybe 3. And if they haven't done anything, like, we're going to have to start. And also, I actually saw it today, this morning. I just remembered it now that I'm talking about it, is Ryan Day. There's rumors for Ryan Day to the Chicago Bears. Like, I know it's very, very small rumors. I seen it on one Twitter thread from one account. And so it's not huge, but that would be, Chicago Bears are a team that like are going to be looking for a coach. And if Ryan Day is in their eye, and I say Ryan Day because there's a connection between Ryan Day's agent and a potential GM that they're looking at. They have the same agent. And so there could be a connection there. If he does jump, we'll be in a situation like OU was, where it was like, hey, now we got to go find a guy. And I think Ohio State, it's the same with Oklahoma. It's the same with like, there's certain schools that like you can get your coach that
people want to coach there. Like, it's not like you're going to have to go out and search too hard to find like candidates that are wanting to go to schools like that.
Yeah, not at all. It's not like it might be hard for them to get, like, maybe it's like the guy they really like, say they wanted Nick Saban or Dabo Swinney. Like, you might not get those coaches, but like you're going to get the guy you want that's not a legacy coach, and honestly, even some legacy coaches, you might be able to get away. That'd be wild to get Dabo. I mean, I don't even know if I would want him, but it would just
You're
be wild.
telling me when those rumors like surfaced of like Dabo, and all that stuff with OU, I was like, this is like definitely not going to happen. But like, if it did happen, that would just blow my mind.
Yeah, it's wild because there's just certain like you could have said that about Lincoln Riley, but not really, because he was only there for 5 years. But like, there's just certain coaches where you're like, they're just not like, the only other place I could see Dabo going is Bama. That's the only other place because it's his alma mater. And like, if Nick Saban leaves, he takes over or something. But like, anyway, with Ohio State, I was going to give it a must win for this Rose Bowl. He's now got a couple years to get the defense right and get it working. I do think next year is a playoff year. I think it's going to be a playoff year, but I think it's going to be the toughest playoff year for us. And I only say that because we do have a young receiving core that we're going to have. Olave and Garrett Wilson are going to be leaving probably for the draft. Both of them. I'm one of Garrett Wilson, definitely. Olave, I think, could potentially come back, but they're both gone. And we got young guys. We got Jackson Smith and Jibba. We got Marvin Harrison Jr., which ideally is, if the name is anything to go off of, and he's a 5-star, which of course 5 stars don't mean as much, but like it does mean a little bit. But you still got to show it. And then I can't remember the other guy's name. So the receiving core, I'm not too worried about, but we got CJ Stroud's going to be back. So he's got a whole nother year under his belt. Both sides of the ball, we got a pretty good number returning. And so it's like, I think next year I say it's going to be the toughest because I think Penn State's getting better with Manny Diaz, just bringing in a defensive guy. Like I think having refreshed face or
but they still have Sean Clifford is coming back at quarterback, and that does nothing for me there. So
but I just think Michigan is probably going to be good. They're losing Hassan Haskins, the running back. They're losing that D end. Yeah, they're losing the D end, or I don't know if he's a D end. Anyway, that player, like there's a couple of guys they're losing too, but I think Michigan is going to be good for like this year, obviously, and next probably. And so next year might be the toughest year for the Big Ten, but I think that Ohio State is in a prime position, especially with a defensive coordinator that obviously just coming off a huge successful year.
Ohio State's in the same boat as like an Alabama, a Georgia, Oklahoma, that they're going to have a down year, but that down year is going to be the outlier. They're going to be back, to winning 10 games regularly, and they didn't even have a down year this year. They made it to the Rose Bowl.
Our down year is 11-1.
Yeah, exactly. And like this is a down year for OU, and they're 10-2. Yeah,
a down year, 10-2 down year. Like I'll take it. Like if that's our down year, you have schools like in Iowa State or Texas.
That a 10-2 is like the best year they've ever had in school history. So it's like, you can't complain much because it could be worse.
We're now actually just sitting here on our soapboxes being like, we're just taking a break this year. And then step back up there. And then we got Lowell Neal, Jake getting, having an 8-4 season next year, being like, well, we hit the over on the season total, but, I don't know. What else is going on? Oklahoma City Thunder, they're still tanking away. I'm interested. I said I was going to bet every game. I did not start doing that. Hopefully this new year, come Christmas and come the new year, I have breaking news for everyone that I've been trying to get out there, but I haven't had the right time and moment to do. But I got some.
Also, so we're recording this on a Sunday at 11:38ish. Chargers play the G-Men tonight or this afternoon.
Do they play today?
Yeah.
yuck, I do not want to get dismembered by Justin Herbert and have yet another stat to be like, damn it, we should have taken him.
Yeah.
Well, good luck
Danny
to you.
Dimes out. Yeah.
Yeah, we have a defensive back that is the emergency backup QB. And he said, like, oh, yeah, I could throw
Chargers best receiver, Keenan Allen, is out with COVID today, too. But Mike Williams able to play as well. So I think that the offense should be
let's wrap up the show, but with a couple quick kind of picks or like predictions. Who do you think is winning the national championship? And who's it going to be?
Man, it was tough. I thought Georgia, but after I watched Alabama just dismember Georgia in that SEC championship game, I've got to go with Alabama. I think Alabama runs Cincinnati, and I think Georgia Michigan games can be close, but I think it's going to be an SEC championship game rematch. I think it's going to be Alabama versus Georgia. But here's the thing: Georgia's offense is not that good.
Yeah, they're not.
And we've seen that, their defense is susceptible to a decent offense, and Michigan has, I would say decent to good offense. I mean, their offensive coordinator just won the Broyles Award.
Yeah, it's because their running game
going to be
so
close.
Good.
Yeah.
Michigan's running game is so good that they don't have to have a stellar passing game. It's just that their running game is so good that they can get those passes off when they need to.
Yeah.
I think we're looking at a Bama Michigan title. It's just one of those things. And honestly, this is going to be corny, but like it plays into the Portnoy has a deal with the devil. Like he really does. Like Michigan's going to win the national championship. The Patriots are going to win the Super Bowl, and he's going to throw his own parade, which he said he's going to do. Like he somehow, like when things go bad for him, they go equally as right in the opposite direction.
No, but I definitely could see Michigan easily making it to the national championship.
I know those things don't play a factor in the actual gameplay, but I do think like these like outside forces have like play on the game, and I think we're looking at a Bama Michigan national title, and I obviously would not like to see Michigan win. It would be good for the Big Ten because it's like, oh, we have a team in the playoffs and they won it, blah blah blah. But I wish it wasn't fucking Michigan, but it does. If I had to put money on like who's going to win all these games, I think it would be a Bama Michigan national championship. I do think Bama would win that game. I just think, like you said, after seeing them fucking slice and dice Georgia like that, I mean, it was just they fooled everyone. We ate the rat poison that Nick Saban was talking about. I mean, we ate the rat poison. I think everyone did. So that was crazy. So you think you got Bama?
I do have Bama, just because, like, I mean, they're Bama.
I got Bama. I'm going with Bama too, but I think it's going to be a Bama Michigan matchup. I think Georgia they choked, and I think there's no unchoking for the rest of the season.
And I could see that easily happening as well. I think that second game, that Michigan Georgia game's a toss up for me. I could pick either one.
Yeah, it's that actually might be the best game to watch. You know what I'm saying? Like that might be the better game of all three.
Congrats to Cincinnati for making the playoffs, but I just don't think they can compete with Alabama.
I don't either, but if they are able to pull off that upset and make it to the national title, I'm taking them to win it. It doesn't matter who they're playing on either side, if it's Michigan or Georgia. But then the other question I had, and then we'll wrap up the show for sure, is who do you think's winning the Super Bowl? How do you see the season playing out for the NFL? I know we didn't really talk much of it, but what do you think the season's going to look like, or the playoffs going to look like for the NFL?
I mean, I'm still thinking the Cardinals are going to make it out of the NFC. They're looking pretty good. They finally got a healthy Kyler Murray and DeAndre Hopkins back. And I mean, how can you bet against the Patriots right now? And I hate saying it, but Bill Belichick and that rookie quarterback Mac Jones, man, they're just winning. They know how to win right now.
Is Belichick going to live another 20 years to coach that kid? Because
I think he's made a deal with the devil himself. Yeah, that he's going to coach until he literally can't coach anymore.
Yeah, he's going to die on the field. And it might not be he might have another franchise quarterback in 20 years that he gives off to Josh McDaniels then. But yeah, I mean, I think I took it. I think I said it. I might have said it last last episode we did, or maybe it was just off the air with someone else. But I agree. I think it's the chalk is Cardinals Patriots. I think I say today, we're recording here on Sunday. I think this week is going to show a lot for the Packers because Aaron Rodgers has that toe injury, and it's hindered his mobility a little bit, but he's electing to not have surgery. I think that's going to play a big factor. If he's able to stay, I say healthy, he's injured. If he's able to stay as healthy as he is to play, healthy enough to play at a high level, I think the Green Bay Packers are like the one team that could knock off the Cardinals in the playoffs, especially if they're able to somehow get home field. Because playing up in Lambeau would be treacherous.
But at this point, I think the Cardinals, if they win, one or two more games, they're going to lock in home field. They're 10-2 right now. So maybe they only need a couple more wins to lock it in. Then I don't know exactly what the whole standings are in terms of playoffs scenarios, but I think in the NFC it's definitely the Packers and Cardinals. I think those are two clear-cut favorites. I think the Rams, they flirted with it for a little bit, but they exposed themselves. I think the Bucks are there too, but I just don't think they have it this year. But then again, you can't count out Tom Brady in the stretch of the year, especially if he just makes the playoffs. Like, you can't count him out in the playoffs. So that's hard to say. But I do think if you had to put money, but also with that being said, we're shaping up for a Bucks Patriots Super Bowl. That would be insane. Tom Brady, Bill Belichick, Super Bowl, old versus new. That would be insane and actually kind of fun to watch. But that would be, but I would have to root for, I don't know. I don't know what I would do because I don't want to root for the Patriots because that just gives them another one. But I don't want to root for Tom Brady because it's Tom fucking Brady. But then again, and this is the last thing I'll say on it, and then you can have your floor for whatever final statements you want to make. But it is actually very cool to watch history, and like having watched Tom Brady, being able to watch him growing up, watching him as a kid and a young adult. That's really cool. Cause like, I didn't watch Michael Jordan. We weren't around when Michael Jordan was around. We are for LeBron James, but I think it's different. Being able to watch Tom Brady. Well, and the thing with
it's
LeBron.
awesome.
Yeah. And the thing, here's what I'll say about this. We've been blessed by the sports that people we've been able to watch like in our lifetime.
Yes.
Because there's been so many of you have, Kobe, LeBron,
Carmelo.
Carmelo. No, you have Tom Brady, and Tiger Woods, players like that we've been able to watch. Yeah, watch all like in our lifetime in the short, 26 years that it's been that we've been able to watch. And the thing with the LeBron and Kobe versus Michael Jordan is that the NBA is just so different from when Michael Jordan played, and the NFL is different, but still Tom Brady winning 6 rings he has now,
7
rings that he has now,
6 with the Patriots.
You just don't get that in the NFL. No one has done that in the NFL.
Not even close.
I think it was one. I can't remember who the guy was, but it just doesn't happen.
It doesn't, especially for quarterback and the numbers he's put up. He's not just managing the game. He's actually played it. Thrown every fucking record you can think of, pretty much.
Yeah, and he went and he proved that he didn't need Belichick to win a Super Bowl. He went to Tampa and won a Super Bowl there with them. That he proved he didn't need Belichick, and that's just something that you have to give credit to him. That he's now 41, 42, somewhere in there.
43, yeah.
Yeah, he getting up there, and he says he still wants to play another 5 years. And I don't doubt him. He probably still could play 5 more years.
Fuck. Yeah, you're right. You probably will. But that's it. Honestly, hey, Preston, if you have over these holidays, I hope you have a Merry Christmas. If you have some time, and you have HBO, I think you should watch King Richard. It's
okay. Yeah, I've been planning on watching that. Yeah,
honestly, hands down, one of the best movies I've watched in a really long time.
Okay,
it was really good. I had never known that story about Serena and Venus. I knew they were sisters. I knew they grew up playing, but I didn't know it as intrinsically as watching how that movie portrayed the story. And it was so good. So good. I almost watched it again. It's a very great movie.
Yeah. I'll throw one out if you have it on Netflix. It's called The Alpinist. I think that one might. Alpinist, like Alpine. I think that's
okay.
what you say. Yeah. I give that a watch. It's about a guy who does like basically like solo climbs and stuff on mountains.
Okay.
That might have a chance to be one of the documentaries of the year. I've heard.
Really?
I've watched it, and I saw very good reviews from other people. I watched it. It is very good. So it's up there. Don't do any Google searching while you're watching it, because I did it and it kind of ruined the end of it for me, just because I'm nosy and like to do that. So just watch it, put the phone to the side for, I think it's like an hour and a half. Sit there, watch the whole thing. You
were 30 minutes in and you're like, is this guy still alive? And then you find out he's not. And you're like, fuck, am I going to watch a death in this or something? Like, damn it, why did I Google that? The movie's right here telling me what's going to happen. Yeah. I just got to wait and be patient for 60 minutes or whatever it is. I've done that before too. And every time I do, I'm like, why did I do that? I could have just finished the show or finished the episode.
I did the same thing while watching Sopranos. I was like, how does so-and-so die? And then I found out, I'm like, shit, well, that just ruined like 2 seasons from now for me.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. I just started watching Yellowstone, which is so far only 2 episodes in. And I understand why people like it. It is
that's one I have not got onto, and
it's impossible to figure out how to watch, because you can only watch it on like you can either watch it live on TV or on Peacock Premium, which just I don't know how they decided to do it like that, but they're either making a lot of money by doing it, or it's an exclusive club of watchers, because I feel pretty special watching it. It's a very good show. But Preston, our viewers, listeners, I hope you all have a Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and we'll see you in 2022. That's it. That's the Rabbit Hole. That's Rabbit Hole Sports. That was the 2021 college football season. Hit that subscribe button, hit that notification button, so that when we come back, you can see us. Oh yeah, horns down. We got to do the obligatory. And I know I'm going to do 2, because I know Jake's here in spirit.
Yeah,
he would want to also.
He would want that. Yeah,
he would do the horns down as well. Hit that subscribe button. Follow us on Twitter at The Bake Is Here, at Preston Pool 405, and shout out Jake Cart at Jake Cart. We'll be tweeting. Preston's doing the Thunder. He's working with radio that's covering the Thunder. So I hope that goes good. I know you're working your ass off for that. That's an awesome opportunity for you. And also, we still got NBA and hockey to talk about when the new year comes around, and also the national championship, Super Bowl, things like that. So we'll have a little bit of sports talk, and then we'll hit into the winter sports.